as we all know that today, of course, the topic is a very loved topic, I would say, in the whole family of GMAT or aptitude verbal. So it's about reading comprehension that we are looking at. And of course, you all know it's about 6 hacks to ace RC, reading comprehension. So my whole agenda would be that by the end of the session, that's approx 1 hour, 15 minutes that we will be spending together. At least the fear of RC, if you have, or for that matter, if there are any misconceptions or myths, I hope to clear all of that. And in fact, make you fall in love with the beauty of RC, that RC is a very technical, I would say, you need to look at it not as English as a language, but I would say technically look at it as data. This is something that the whole agenda of the session would be. Okay. Of course, these are the general instructions that we have during the session. Of course, as I will be teaching, you can use the chat window for some general queries, which I will say question specific per se. But yes, if you can avoid posting questions which are that way very generic in nature with respect to GMAT, and you can put them on the Q&A window, which we can take after the session. So there will be definitely some 10 minutes that I have, 10 to 15 minutes that I would love to clear all your doubts and questions with respect to reading comprehension in RC or anything that you would be happening. So I would appreciate if we can go together, understand the flow that we do, the theory, get acquainted with what I will be teaching, and please participate in polls if any. So there will be some few questions to be solved today. It would be wonderful if you can participate in the polls. And when you are conversing, please select all panelists and attendees. That's something which is very important. Please select all panelists and attendees. Okay, so can we start? Good to go? Okay, so before I really start, this is me. I have been teaching since the last 17 years, of course, but I wouldn't be speaking much about me in the session. Later in the end, maybe we can have, but the only thing that you will need to know, I would just like to tell you that, yes, I have been in this whole GMAT segment for around more than, I would say test prep, around 17 years. So RC, yes, is something that I love. RC is my specialty that I would say, my personal favorite when I do APTI. So let's see if I can add some value to your prep on this Sunday evening, for that matter, or afternoon for someone from Botkill. Okay, so can we start? Good to go? In the chat box, if you can tell me, are we ready for the session? Okay, thank you, Siddharth and Mitesh. So let's get going. So as I definitely said that we are looking at the agenda of the session per se would be to, of course, look at which are the hacks, 6 hacks. So ideally, these are the 6 hacks. One, of course, is crack the RC irrespective of the topic. That's what we'll see. So this is, I would say, topic is a myth per se. Then how would you really see the passage as an author? Now, this is a very important skill that we all have to be developing. So more than just being a reader, how do I really put myself in the footsteps of the author? And then if you look at point 3 and 4, they actually are mutually very compatible. So honestly speaking, all these 3 hacks, 2, 3, and 4, they work together in tandem. They work in cohesion, of course, to help you understand a para better. And yes, we'll come into question solving also today. So this is where the passage will be taken into consideration. And this is where we will be dealing with our questions and given options. So because this is what RC is all about. Reading comprehension is about a passage and it is about a given question, set of questions and options. So how to avoid common traps and how to guess the right way is about answering an RC, and this is about comprehending an RC. So let's see, let's move ahead. Now, just a quick, because there are some starters, who are starting afresh. So for them, a quick 5 minutes, or rather just 2-3 minutes of some gyan that I would say about RC on the GMAT. How would you typically have reading comprehension? So yes, it is a part of this there, and you will have 4 passages. So this is fixed. There is no change. 4 is a fixed value. There is no change. And you will be expecting some 3 to 4 questions for every passage. And every question will have 5 options. So if you really see, that's where so you will have 5 options. You have to select the star and all the others have to stay back. So that's the whole idea. Now, an adaptive algorithm. Now, we all know GMAT is an adaptive exam. What do we mean by being adaptive? So it's like, suppose this is the first question that you get correct. Now, this is my first question. If you get this correct, you will be taken up to the next question. You will be your level, the LOD, the next question will be of a higher level of difficulty. Similarly, if we get this, we will again move up. So that's how the pool goes up. That's an adaptive algorithm. Now, if I get this wrong, I will be down. I will be getting a level of difficulty, a question which is of low. So my pool will be continuously going down from the range. So that's how the scoring of GMAT happens. Of course, the exact algorithm and all of that, there is, I mean, no one really has got the whole catch of what is really the scoring. But yes, with many ESR analysis, many, and most of that, we still know how many questions we can get wrong for a perfect score. So these kind of things, yes, it is available. But the beauty of RC, reading comprehension, is adaptive algorithm does not work in an RC passage. That means if I have an RC passage, I have question 1. Suppose you get this wrong, the difficulty of question 2 does not change. The LOD remains constant. It will not change. The level of difficulty will remain as it is. So question 3, or suppose you get this correct, this will not become a higher level of difficulty. So this will also remain constant. But yes, where would this change? Now, suppose you got 2 correct in these 3. That means you performed fairly well. So the next question that you get, it may be a CR question, it may be an SC or a new RC, the algorithm, I would say the adaptive algorithm will work here. So the next question type, I would say, will be of a different LOD. The LOD will change here. Clear with this? And one passage will not be scored. It's an experimental passage. But again, we all don't know which is going to be an experimental passage. That's the hidden, that's why GMAT is really, really very, very sneaky here. But so hence, we have to show our prowess and skills with all of the passages that have been given. With, of course, if a question is very difficult, we can guess and we can skip. Skip in the sense in GMAT, I cannot skip a question in non-attempt. I have to guess it. I have to mark an answer option. Cool. Let's move ahead. Next, of course, we've got these passages. Every passage, this is a decent size. So when I talk of it, this will be maximum 1 paragraph. 2, 3 to 4 paras max. So this is what your normal size, if I break the words, would be. The words, I can break it into 1 para to 3 to 4 paras. And the very typical, the passage will appear on the left panel. So as I'll be solving, you will be seeing all that. You will not be able, so a very important difference with other aptitude exams, or for that matter, like the Indian aptitude exams, CAT. So in CAT, what happens is you can see questions, right? You can at least skip and see the questions. But in GMAT, you cannot do that. You can only see the first question. So only the next. So you can't, you have to keep, and plus you can't go back. So technically, I always tell, we have to live in the present. In GMAT, there is no revisiting the past and no revisit, and you can't go to the future. You can only be in the present. That is something that I always tell my students. Again, let's look at it. In GMAT, we've got total number of questions that we have in 65 minutes is 36. Total 36 questions. Out of this 36 questions, 12 to 14 questions will be of your reading comprehension. So ideally, the time that you are spending in reading comprehension, taking into consideration if you really want to score for 4 passages, maximum that you can spend is 25 to 30 minutes, right? So definitely this exam is a lot about your speed as well as accuracy. You have to pay attention. You have to be really fast also, as well as accurate. So there are 2 things that definitely will be taken into consideration. So you do not get some 60 minutes to do some 4 passages. So you have to develop skills of speed as well as accuracy simultaneously. Okay. So I hope you've got an overview of what really GMAT is for students who are starting for the first time. GMAT RC is. So going ahead, we've got this 5 challenges. So as we spoke of that, I would also like to understand when we talk of any exam. So it's very important when we look at any exam that we are taking, an exam, to succeed in an exam, if you really want to, to succeed per se in any exam, you have to overcome certain challenges, right? Everyone, of course, is plagued by all these challenges. Now, I would not say all 5 challenges is applicable to every solver. But yes, these are my common challenges, which I think anyone might have. So there can be someone who has all 5. There can be someone who has only 1. Some can have 2. So everyone here can have one or the other challenges that you see. So what do you think is a very common challenge? What would be a common challenge in a timed exam or an exam like GMAT? I think people who've already taken GMAT can definitely tell. What do you think can be a challenge between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? You can write in the chat box. What do you really think would be a challenge? Okay, cool. So we've got, yes, confusing content is a challenge, limited time. So topics not of interest, that's one. High mental stress. So I do have few students who've mentioned this. And yes, answering questions correctly, that's actually the star of the whole story. So this, if I'm getting this correct, I think everything else, even if it's a challenge, can be fine. But yes, this is the first 3 and the 5th really is a very big challenge for all of us. So let's see. The agenda of today's session, of course, is to see that how can you really handle all of this. So right at the end of the session, I'll come back to these challenges and we'll also try to see that could we, with what we learned today, can we take care of these challenges? Okay, so I'm moving ahead to what today we will be learning. So my first hack, let's look at the first hack. I'm directly starting with the hack. So it says that the first problem that we all have, and I'm also calling this a part of a challenge, is we have a problem with our topic. Everyone agrees, if topics are not of my interest, I don't feel like reading, yes or no? How many of you have that issue that, oh, if I don't like this, I just don't feel like reading? How many of you have that problem? Only Siddharth has that problem. Others are comfortable with any topic. I mean, that's great, actually. I would love you to have that. So if anyone actually has, all of you are doing that, I will be elated. If I don't understand, then that is a problem. Okay, cool. So yes, so that's nice. To be honest, topic as something, personally, don't you think, yes, boring topics, don't you think topic as a challenge or a problem is self-inflicted? Do you think it is something which is self-inflicted? When I say self-inflicted, it is a personal assumption that, oh, I find something boring. I find something, it doesn't really tickle my brain. It doesn't end. Don't you think it's something that we assume? It's an assumption. I mean, to be very honest, I believe I would love to take you back to your school days or your college days where a book contained many chapters, right? Every chapter, can you tell me, were they equally interesting? Or your topics in your exam? Suppose in your semester exams, you had some 5 subjects to study. All of them were interesting. Can you, I mean, do you really think? What do you think? All of them were interesting, but what did you do? They were not, right? But then what you needed to do? So did you stop studying that, or did you really, you did something? Because what was the agenda? The aim was back in our school, back in our college days, the agenda was to crack the exam. I needed marks, right? I needed to score. Score was very important. So I just studied enough, even if it is not of my interest, I still forced myself to do it, correct? So a very important thing is when we talk of topic as a challenge for that matter, if I am saying that this is a problem for me, this first hack that I will say is something that as a human being we all have. The hack to actually crack an RC passage is self-belief with respect to, or a drive that I want from you. You have to first say that it is the need. It's a need-based RC. It is not an entertainment-based RC. No one is giving you an RC to see that are you enjoying the exam, right? Do you agree to that? GMAT is not bothered if you want to enjoy GMAT or not. GMAT is bothered if you can score on GMAT. Am I correct? So first and foremost, you have to first have a self-belief and a drive that any RC that opens in front of you or that you're practicing, it is a need. So the concept of lack of interest or something is boring, please take this out of your dictionary. Nothing is boring, nothing is interesting. Everything is need-based. I need to do it to score. If I need to do it, I will do it. That is a belief that you have to develop. Now, of course, this is something that I mentioned about general human perspective. But yes, there are also some hacks that you can employ. A very important hack that you can use and employ is what I normally use as roll of sentences. Now let's understand why do I use this. So here I'll use a little logical thinking here. Now what exactly is an RC passage? What is an RC passage? An RC passage, what do you think? Do you agree that it is a sentence and words? I've put them all. So sentences and words, both of them I think are parallel. So they are not 1 and 2 for me. Both of them actually are there together. So to make a passage, to create a para, so a passage is a superset, then I have a para. So for a para, what is a para comprise of? A paragraph will have a sentence. And what is the building block of a sentence? Are my words, right? So it is very important what I do, what I say. Moment I look at a passage, I'm least bothered what is the length of the passage. So I am not scared of the length of the passage, of the length. You give me one para passage, you give me one para, you give me para 1, 2, 3, 4, anything you give me, I know one thing. What is the building block? The building block is words and sentences. They are building up. So what I need to do is I need to master the skill of not breaking all 4 paras, but the skill of breaking a sentence and words. So if I can break a particular sentence and a word, I think it will somewhere down the line help me to know what is the message, the role or the message that the author wants to convey. Does this make sense? Does this make sense to us? So for example, I will give you a little example. If I example, let's look at this. If I say I'm using a word but, I'm using the word also. Okay. I'm saying today is Sunday, but I have a session to attend. So I'm just giving a very simple one. And I'm just trying to, now, can you tell me something? Today is Sunday, but I have a session to attend. Now, I am a speaker. What do you think is the message that I want to convey? How will I know? How will you know what is the message that I want to convey? I have one message which is about being Sunday. This is, I will say, a message one, right? I have a message. I have a session to attend is a message two. Everyone agrees to that. There are two messages. Which out of these is the message that I, as a speaker, I want to convey? Is it message one or is it message two? Which is more important for me? More important. Message one or two? Message two, cool. Now, who tells me, who gave me the clue? Who gave me the clue that two is important? Which was that little word that helped me to know? The word but. Excellent. So the word but actually helped me. So but is like, in spite of being a Sunday, I have a session to attend. So it's a very simple rule. If I have an idea one and I have but and an idea two, it is a God rule. It is a God rule that 99% cases, 99% cases, rather it's 100, but I always mention 99. The author's bias, the author or the speaker's bias follows these words. These words are nothing but your contrast words. So here, idea, this becomes the star, and idea one is less important for the author or for that speaker. I hope I made sense here. Now, suppose I say I1, not I2. Now I'm changing the but with not. What is the change? I1, not I2. Which becomes important? Which becomes important? I have changed the word but and I have replaced it with the word not. So what is becoming important now? Idea one becomes important, right? So do you realize that how single words, the usage of words actually can change the message and the meaning? This becomes the only star. And idea two does not exist at all. Now, if I look at but, if I'm using the word but, this is a comparison. This is a negation. I see comparison here. I see negation here. So these are little things that you can make use. Now, if I say also, okay, let's look at also. I1, also I2. So who becomes the star? Again, I1 is star, right? And also, what will happen with I2? I2 is there in the family. I2 becomes a secondary or a subordinate idea. So it becomes very, very important that when as a reader, so if you're looking at a passage, get out of the whole idea and the block of topic. The topic doesn't matter. What matters is you as a reader, are you able to know what is the role or what is the contextual use of the words that are there. So here it is not about the GK exam. It's not about the nouns, but about the message indicators. Those words which are showing what the author wants to convey. Moment you start looking at passages from this particular lens, the block that you have with topic will slowly go away. So today I would tell you after the session, if you can really pick up an editorial and just objectively look at the passage, objectively without the topic, pick up the topic that you hate. Just pick up and just try reading the first para with this aspect in mind. What is the sentence doing? What are the words doing? So when I talk of sentences, I'll just erase this. So when I look at sentences, every sentence also they have some role, right? What sentence role can they have? Sentences can be informative, so that can be a piece of information. It can be elaborative. So when I say information, they can also be introductory in nature. They can be elaborative. They can be something who is an opposing thought. It can oppose, or for that matter, it can refute, right? So these can be the role. It can be a conclusion. It can be conclusive in nature, right? So if you start looking at passages from the lens of these aspects, that what are the role of sentences, what is the role of words, believe me, you will get out of that block of, the area is boring for me, because now it has ceased to be an area. It is now purely data. So I am actually doing data analysis. Data reading is what we will be doing. Clear with this, everyone? I hope it made some sense. We can try that. Any questions? Can I move? Okay. So the next thing, of course, comes in is how to see the passage as the author. Now, this is pretty similar to this. Now, when I say role of sentences and words, who has written all this? Who has written all these words and all? Who? Who's written the sentences? Of course, the author, right? Our author has written all these sentences. Our author has used all these words. So why has he done all this? So it's very important. If you want to really see the passage as the author, you have to map the author. You have to follow the author. When I say map the author, you will have to work as an observer. So if I say, suppose let's look at these two people sitting. Now, if I say, like this particular entity has a lot of question marks, and if you look, this is, so I call this person a movie critic. And this entity, I will call her an auditor. She's going to be auditing. And this one is a movie critic. Now, what is the difference between an auditor and a movie critic? What do you think a movie critic does? What is a movie critic? Can I say when there is a critic who's seeing a movie, the critic analyzes the movie? Can I say a critic analyzes? Or for that matter, a critic judges a movie? Can we say that a critic judges or analyzes a movie? That is the movie good, bad, right? So does this make sense? But does an auditor judge? Does an auditor judge? What do you think? An auditor judges? Auditor doesn't judge. What does the auditor do? He evaluates. He evaluates. He scans, right? He checks if the data, if everything is correct as per data. Yes or no? So now you tell me, if you have to see the passage as the author, so if you have to be the face, the mind of the author, who should you be? Critic or the auditor? Who should you be? So you can just type A or C. That will be enough for me in the chat box. Perfect. We all have to be working as an auditor. Then only I will be closest to the para. If I start bringing my mind, so all these question marks are my assumptions. What is it? But if you look at it, this entity, the auditor, is very well defined and finite. So the auditor practically has everything is sorted. Why? Because it is within a boundary. What is the boundary? The boundary is the passage. Boundary is the data that the author has written. This is something that we need to pay attention to. So it's very important if you really want to master RC, you really want to master data reading, you have to become an auditor. You have to evaluate it structurally and not, become emotional with the para that is written. Because honestly speaking, The writer of a passage didn't, I mean, he doesn't know that you're being tested also on his articles, right? So there's an examiner who just likes an article, the examiner picks up the article, creates a set of questions. So how would you be in sync with the examiner is only when you think like the author. So A for author, A for auditor. This is something that I always tell my students to keep in mind. Now, next. So if I have to be an auditor, what exactly is a para all about? What really comprises? These are three very important things that any passage has. Of course, so although I'm telling you to be an auditor, but I would tell you to look at a movie. Now, I'll bring a movie actually that's happening. So you're an auditor of a movie and you're watching and seeing a movie in the theater. So as an auditor, if I ask you in a movie, what do you see? What is a movie all about? What the movie is all about, I would say there are key characters in a movie, right? Or in a storybook, there are key characters. Now, these key characters can be seen. You are not feeling them, right? They are finite characters. So what the para is about are the key characters that you see. Next step will be why. Why has my author written the passage? So basically, we are looking at the plot of the movie. So the plot that you see, now how do you see the plot? From the first scene, from the intro to the closure, to the end of the movie, the climax, that is what the plot and the story is. So you can see it, not that you can feel it. So why a para has been written, what the para is about, if you start observing all this, if you start observing what the author has written, you will become closer to the writer. And a very, very important thing is, how has this plot been structured? So the structure, or I would say the flow of ideas. How has this story been written is something which is a very important thing. So there are three very important parameters that we need to gauge when we are looking at a passage as an author. About what or whom has he written, why has he written, and how has he structured, and the ideas have flown from intro to closure, from the first para to the last para, how the ideas have flown. So the same plot, maybe I have a plot, I might have a romance movie in it. The same plot, I can have a violent movie. I can. I mean, but the plot, it's just like I'm using different tools to present the story. So maybe it's a story about a father and a daughter. So about the beautiful bond. I can put in either a family movie. I can also make it a kidnapping kind of a violent movie. I can create anything. Creativity. So, but now you have to see what the writer has done. What is the best method the writer has used to present this? This is what we have to pay attention to. So can we move ahead? So let's try this. Now this what, why, how, let us see in one passage. So this is actually a big para, 3 paragraphs where I've brought in only the first para. Let us see the first para. Let's read it. So I want you to take 1 minute to read this on your own. So start reading, just a minute to read. Okay, done. You can write in the chat box if you will. Anyone still reading? Should be over. Okay, done. Others, are we still reading? Done. Cool. Okay, let's see. Now, how many of you found this para to be, I mean, did you like the para? Was it okay? Was it nice or was it weird? I mean, did you really enjoy the para? Or was there a problem? You didn't enjoy. Okay. Not really. I understand. Okay. I would prefer yes. So someone who's not read. Now, what is the trouble with the para? Now, let's see. Let me just show you certain things that will make the task easier. How can you think like the writer for an exam? Now, a very important thing is, let's look at this first line. So before I go into this, I will have sentences which are either data, where the motive is informative, and I will have sentences which are idea, whose motive is to show is, that is my author's opinion. So my author is writing the sentences, he is the writer. So why does he write sentences? Either to show, to give information, informative about a topic, or to show his or her opinion, right? Now let's break this and read. It says the final quarter of 19th century marked a turning point, okay, in the history of biology. The moment I look at this word turning point, do you get a sense of feel? Do you get a sense of feeling? Something like positive, negative, or is it a neutral word? Turning point, what kind of a word is it? Is it neutral, positive, or negative? So yes, it does look like it. So positive it does look like, but technically speaking, turning point normally is used for positive, but sometimes turning point is actually a neutral word. Honestly speaking, it's not a negative word. Turning point is not negative. I would rate it to neutral and positive family depending on what was the turning point. If the turning point is, if there is, so let us see in this passage, what is it? Is it neutral or is it positive? Let us see that. Yes, but it changed something. See, if it is, are changes always negative, Megha? Changes are not always negative, right? Changes can be for positive also. So let's see here, but let's understand. Biologists became less interested in applying an ideal of historical explanation deductively to something and more interested in discerning something through experimental manipulation. A very long sentence. But how did I read this sentence? Did you notice the way I read? I broke the sentence in parts. I did not read the sentence in one go. I was pausing at these actions. I was pausing at message indicators. These are all message clues, right? These are action clues that I was pausing and reading. So moment I read this, I realized there was a difference. I observed something called as HE and something called as experimental manipulation. And I realized that people were becoming less interested in HE and they were being more interested in the experimental manipulation. Now, honestly speaking, is this negative or is this positive or is it neutral? Being less interested, more interested, is it a neutral concept or is it negative, positive? What is it? What does logic tell you? The thought of less and more interest, what is it? It's fine, you can answer. There's nothing, no one will be penalized. Think logically. It's a change, but negative will it always? Again, Megha, I'm just being less and more, but I don't know is this for good or bad. I am only saying interest. Interest as a word is a neutral word. I am not telling is this change good or bad, right? Are you getting the catch here? Nowhere it is mentioned that this change is good or bad. So I can't call it a positive and a negative. I can only call it neutral. Clear with this? So this is how it's very, very important to observe how the author has used or what has he used while writing the para. His use of words becomes very, very critical. Let's move. Now, but the most important word has come in. So moment, so I just taught you a few minutes back. Moment you see but, you know that the star has come. The bias comes. It is impossible to discuss the history of biology in this without emphasizing those areas, whatever had depended on historical explanation. Now, moment you read this, what do you realize? This is general trend, but this is the turning point. But my author is with which side? Is the author with experimental manipulation or is the author with historical explanation? HE or EM? What is my author supporting? My author is supporting HE or my author is supporting EM? Very good. My author is supporting HE. How did I get to know? Because when I observed the word but here, that definitely gave me a clue. So these are little things that I hope it's making sense that how these things become very important. So now wherever it was applied, now look at this. I'm continuing the same flow. Wherever it was applied, HE was deemed this. Biologists as whatever. Okay, cool. Now, please notice what has been repeated in this from first sentence till SN. What has been repeated? Can I say we are discussing about history of biology? We are discussing about biologists and we are discussing about historical explanation till the end versus the experimental manipulation. Now, a question to all of you. Apart from all of this, which is that other word that has been repeated from first till the last? What is the para all about? Is it about any biologist or is it about specific timeline? Can I say it is only about 19th century biologists? Can I say that? Did you notice? These are things that you have to notice if you really want to read like the author. So this is what we mean by reading like author. So even though this topic is not from your area, it's not really about the area per se, but this is about, now, okay, someone said evolution of biology. Now, did you see evolution of biology per se written? It's about a turning point in history of biology, but I don't see the word evolution. So as of now, I will not bring in new words. That's something that I always tell my students. Don't bring new words into the story until and unless it is mentioned or until and unless you see it in the answer option. Then you might check. But before that, try to stick to the visual data that you see. Clear with this? Can we move? Now let's look. So this is the full passage actually. So when you really look at what does the last sentence mean? Okay, I'll come to that. But do you really think I need this meaning to understand the full passage? I'll come, Deepak. I'll come to the last sentence, what it means. I have put some words in blue. Just notice these words. But it is impossible to discuss this without emphasizing that it had depended on this. Then it says 19th century biologists found a historical explanation of this attractive. So once again, I'm seeing the same thing. Yes or no? Partly because their observation of whatever seemed to confirm an explanation of this. So again, this paragraph, what is it doing? This para is once again reaffirming importance of HE for which biologist? The 19th century biologist. So do you all agree to that? Now look at these words. These are the first few words of every sentence. The same observation of continuous stages of development in both cases. So all of these, so why have I highlighted these words? This is to show you the structure. Both of these are following the same flow of idea of the prior sentence. So whatever this sentence in blue is telling me, They are working to take that idea ahead. So now if you, so for example, as a reader, what, like the question that Deepak asked, the meaning of this. Now, is it important during an exam when I have to solve, I have to read an RC in a matter of only 3 minutes and I have to get the gist? Is it important to understand the meaning of every single line? Is it important? What do you think? Is it important? Is it logical? Is it possible? Will you be able to finish the exam? No, you won't. This exam is not about, a research paper analysis. They are not asking you subjective questions. They are asking you questions which you can come back to the para. Now, what I was doing here ideally was trying to find out a basic storyline and an overview, the plot, which of course there is a word for it. But very difficult to realize what to stress on. So for that, who will help you, Deepak? Who will help you? Now let's look at this. Structurally look at it. Whenever it was applied, it was applied. What is it? This, backtrack, was deemed this, the biologist is this, and general of human dealt with comparable phenomena and assumed necessarily a common mode of explanation. Okay, common mode of explanation. Now, this line, is it really matching with the prior? No. But what is a common factor? Biologist as historian. This is a common thing. So this line, when I see biologist as well as historian, definitely I see some connection between bio and history here. So I can say, one thing I can say, that the flow is one and the same. That is enough for me. I don't need to do extra research on this line. If there is a question, I will come back to it. In my first read, I don't need to understand this in totality. This is something you need. What you only need to understand is the flow similar or is there a shift? We will see in the next slide. Similarly, if we look at these, not surprisingly, the of this encountered a particularly troublesome. Troublesome, but I'm saying not surprisingly. That means there will be some connection in the previous line. See the previous line carefully. The argument that these scientists employed confuses. Confuses is a negative word. So particularly troublesome, negative, right? And of course, but my author says, but such confusion is the heart of most historical explanation. So by this, what does it prove? That my author is still okay with Etchi. My author has no problem with Etchi as such, right? He does agree there is some confusion, but 100% his tone is still biased towards Etchi. Now, this para, what does it do? There is something that is troublesome. Next, I'm saying that 19th century biologists recognized this problem, that's trouble, and attempted to resolve it. There is solution. Now look at the words. Resolve, solution, all the header words, solution. See, all this that I have marked, how can I see all this? Because I wanted to see it. The reason was I knew this was more like a treasure hunt. So I know what the author will give in. So structurally, logically, I know that if all sentences are back to back, there has to be some link. Let me find the link. Let me look for it. So very important is to look for links. Look for common reiterations. Look for something that is repeated. It is very important. If you don't look, you will not get it. It's more like seek and you shall find. Unfortunately, we don't seek, so we don't find. And then we think, oh, the para is so dangerous. But the para is never dangerous. It is made up of words. You just have to understand technically how these words have been arranged and sentences have been related to each other to prove a point. Now look at the last one. What do I end with? Their solution, whatever, seemed to fill a deficient record, a historical record, and seem to complete the argument for historical explanation. So what is it that these biologists is finding a solution? They have found a solution, but have they removed Etchi? Has Etchi become zero? No. only the gap has seemed to fill. So when I'm using the word seemed, I can't say 100% filled, right? Because the author is using the word seemed. So these are very important things for correct answer selection. So seemed doesn't mean 100% filled. Seem is 99% possibility. So this is 99% possibility that they have filled, not 100%. I cannot be 100% sure. So, but still HE is the leader, market leader in this whole story. Clear with this? So I hope you got a hang of how to read data and what is the importance of words. Does it make sense? Did this little exercise make sense to all of us? Okay, so let's solve a question. Let's see, let's solve the question directly. Now, of course, how to understand different points is a hack. I will come to that. I will come back, but I want to directly solve the question because we just read the para. So we have a little this. Let's look at primary purpose of the passage. So when I say primary purpose of the passage, technically speaking, this is nothing but, of course, the plot, the story, right? So tell me, let's look at these words. All that you have retained in the map, is there a comparison happening? Do you think there was a comparison? Yes or no? Was there a comparison? No, I didn't see a comparison, right? The para was purely a one-line para. Everything was going one line, except they said, oh, something negative, but again, I'm going one line. Everything is about HE, right? Now, if you go ahead, there are worse errors. Compare the information about organic function made available. The para, this was not about organic function, and that with that made available by this. So we were not comparing. We were trying to promote HE in the lives of 19th century biologists, right? Assess the influence that theories of history. Is the para about theory of history? Did you see theory of history? No, I didn't see. Cross. Had on the developments of field of biology. This is attractive. This is very attractive for some students. But if I look at it closely, theories of history, I didn't see. Discuss. Okay. Discuss, I can say. Assess, discuss. I am sorry. This is a little bad. Okay. Importance of HE. Now, can you compare? This is a very classic thing. Comparison of options. If you really want to guess, you need to learn this art of comparing options. I have, it is history, theories of history, and this is historical explanation. Which one is closer to the para? Can I say HE? This option. In the thinking of 19th century biologists. Do I have my answer? Do you think we all have our answer? Can we agree to that? I will hold my horses with this. And now what will be my intent? What is the logic that I will use now? When I look at option D and E, what is the logic that will come in my mind? Will I look for a correct answer, or will I look that should I remove? Let me check if there is a problem in these options. Let me check. Contrast. Contrast. Use of during early 19th with use during final. Even if you are caught in this trap, but did you see anything about the final quarter of 19th century? No, I didn't. 100% this goes. Evaluate the way in which concept of this. Now this is there. Option E, I see in this. But what is very important? What is very important? I'll come to that, Sampada. What is the meaning of turning point? Turning point was not time. Turning point was a concept. It was an idea. It was a change. That was not about chronology. It was final. So when I say final quarter of the 19th century marked a turning point, so it says use of this during early with its use. So am I contrasting? Is that the intent of the full para? Is that the intent of the full para? We'll come. So when I look at D, so even we've got someone who's mentioned D, is this the main motive? That it is to compare the It is not to compare. Para 2, what was the aim? The aim was only to promote HE, right? The aim was to promote the importance of HE, how they found it attractive, how it was important for them. But it is impossible. It is attractive. These are the words that have been discussed, right? So when I compare between C, D, and E, which is that thought which is present maximum number of times in all the three para? You tell. So now final answer, C, D, E. What should we go with? Unanimous. It will be C, because these 2 points may be present here and there, but not throughout. Throughout, where whatever point has been present, that is what I will be taking into consideration. Clear with this? So we actually solved the question by just reading. It was very easy. So a primary purpose question is it hardly takes us much time, right? So now I'll go back. And I think you saw also what I mean by elimination. So the 2 other hacks that I think we've discussed, you need to understand different points of view. We finished that, right? We spoke about idea 1 versus idea 2. How to grasp the gist. So that is something we just did. We understood the gist, right? So very important is, if you have to understand the thought flow from intro to closure, we need to know that this is nothing but about the structure and how. So when I say describe, this will be, so sentence 1 to sentence N, or para 1 to para N, the flow of ideas will be one and the same, right? Everything will be descriptive. Now, but when I am describing, generally description is always unidirectional. I can have a positive feel to it, unidirectional, or I can have a negative feel. But if I'm describing, generally the flow is in one format. Now, what about discuss? Describe is the base, but I can also describe something by initiating a discussion, like a GD in a group discussion. Now, what happens is, I might be discussing one idea. So, and suddenly what I can do is I can shift. So I would say that I can have a bi-directional approach to the story. So how would I actually use a bi? I can employ a pros and cons approach. I can talk of positive, or I can talk of negative, or I can have a compare and a contrast aspect. So this can be a bi-directional aspect. So in this passage, what do you think? Was there a compare contrast, or was it a pros and cons of HE? What was it? Pros and cons or contrast? Think. What? So compare contrast will be with what? Compare contrast will be time-based. I can compare the same thing with respect to timeline. And I can do compare contrast between different entities, right? But pros and cons will be about the same entity. So when we are looking at that, so this passage, what was it? It was more pros and cons. Perfect. So here I was looking at all good, but there was some confusion. There was some problem. So hence a solution. There was no comparison and contrast per se, except in the first part, there was a change that we saw. But the agenda of the para was to only discuss and assess about HE. Cool with this? Clear? And debate. What is the difference between a debate? So when I talk of debate, the difference between them is nothing. Very simple. The debate is also bi-directional. The only difference would be that the tone or feel of the author will be strong. He will try to advocate. So it is more like the author will try to argue for something. So words that we can use is, he will try to argue, but here he will try to analyze. There is a difference. When you are analyzing, your tone is mild. You are more balanced, like you saw in this para. in this para, the author was not like, calling Etchi God. Historical explanation was not being called as God, right? Do you agree to that? But he was trying to take a mid path, and he was not pushing for this. He was only showing us the importance. He was discussing the importance. This is something where his bias will be very strong. So if you pay attention to all of this thought flow, believe me, you will understand what are the different points of view. So the author can have different views. Author can have different views, and I can have author versus others. So it is very important to understand the difference between where the author is and where others are. So for example, I can say many people believe, many people say. What is this? Many people say. Is this author's belief? Is this author's idea, or is it others' idea? Many people say. Is it author's idea or others' idea? It is others. And directly, so if I say many people say God is great, God is good. And if I directly say God is good, if I directly say God is good, whose thought is this? Whose thought is this? This is authors. And many people say God is good is others, right? So these are things. So this is called the speaker. The speaker will always be mentioned when it is author versus others. And author can have different views. Different point of views is by when you observe words like but. But is a very important tool. Clear with this? Okay. So how to avoid comment traps? That's my fifth. So we are coming to the end. How to avoid comment traps? Very simple. I have this star. The star is elimination. Now, elimination or selection, what is important? Remember that this is the star. Why? Because out of 5 options, 4 are wrong and only 1 is correct. This is like finding needle. This is the needle in the haystack. If you keep looking for the needle, you will not get the needle. You have to remove the hay and then you see the needle there. So it's very important that, so we will first eliminate. So how do you really eliminate? So there has to be 2 scans. First scan, so it's about finding the red flags. Finding the red flag. Now, what is my red flag? My red flag. So as you keep finding the red flag, you will reach closer to your target. So if you find the red flag is nothing but the traps in options. Now, when I say traps, these are not creative traps. These are 100% deviations or errors as per the para. So this is something which is very important. You have to look 100% traps per se. So once there is a first scan, what I will do is I will remove all the out of scope options. Out of scope options, I will remove all of them. Out of scope options are gone. Next is the XY scan. XY is your 2 close options. So how do you decide between your 2 close options? And this is where, of course, the next strategy that would come in is guessing as a strategy. Now, let's look at this passage. So to show you this, let's see this passage. Let's do it together. The question says, the first sentence in the passage suggests that observers mentioned would be most likely to predict which of the following. So very specifically, it is written only observers. And I see observers here. So what I would do is, I would read this fast, and I'll just read this with you very fast. Some observers have attributed the dramatic growth in temporary employment that occurred in US during 1980s to increased participation in workforce by certain groups, such as first-time or re-entering workers who supposedly prefer such arrangements. So there is a dramatic growth in temporary because of preference, some workers who are preferring such arrangements, right? However, statistical analysis reveal that change did not correlate with variations in number of temporary. Instead, these suggest factors suggesting employers account for. One factor is product demand. Okay. Another factor is labor reducing bargain. Cool. Given the analysis which revealed the growth now far exceeds the level of jobs, firms should be discouraged from creating excessive numbers of this. Government policymakers, okay, cool. Now, all of this is who? All of this is who? This is author, right? Question is about observer. What will observers predict? What will my observer predict is my question requirement. Should I check? Should my answer come from this zone? Should my answer come from this zone? No. So I know now what to remove. I know what to remove. Any option which is telling me is from this zone, this is author, no? Observers is only in the first line. Observer is about preference, something related to preference. Any data that is from this part, I will remove those options. I will remove those options. So let's see. Now my target is not to find the correct answer. My target is to remove. Let's see. That the new number of new temporary positions would decline. Okay. As fewer workers who preferred temporary employment entered the workforce. Now, when you look at A is visually matching A part or is it matching the O part? Option A is matching which part? A part or O part? The O part. Very good. It's matching the O part, right? I'll keep it. That the total number of temporary positions would increase as this were able to find permanent. But did I see anything like permanent and all? I have not seen this in the para. I have not. Is it there in the O part? Not there. Remove. Less control in terms of workers' employment, bargaining strength. All of this is A part. All of this is A. If anything that is related to A, I will cancel. More workers would be hired for this as product demand. So one factor is product. A, cancel. The number of workers taking this would increase as more in any given demographic group entered the workforce. Now, I will teach you guessing and XY analysis with this. Any given entered. This is about preferred. So when I compare both the options, which is closer to O, A or E, what do you think? Which is closer? A part and O part, I mean by observer. O is observer, A is author. Visually, open your eyes. Megha, you all should open your eyes and check any demographic and the word that is your preferred. Observers are talking about preference for such arrangements. It is not about anyone. It is only about people who have preference. So if the number of workers who have preference for temporary, that is becoming less. Fewer workers who preferred. So when I'm using the word fewer means it is coming down. It's lessening. By default, the number of positions will decline. So my correct answer is A. I hope you understood how A is the correct answer and why not E, everyone. Let's move to the next. So of course, how to guess the right way. So how would you guess the right way? I just showed you guessing. We will guess by analyzing, for that matter, is not comprehension, but by observing the XY pair. And what do? I will check with what is seen. Which option? Check with what is seen in the question location in the para. This is something that I will pay attention to. If I work like this in an astute manner, it will become easy for me. So I'll wrap this up with a last question. I'll show you guessing. I'll tell you the location. I will give you everything. author implies that these biologists who studied this believe that day. This is present in second para, where it is here, right? So I will give you two options and I will tell you to guess. I have option A for you. I have option B for you. Read this part and tell me which out of these two will be related to this line. And even without reading, can you guess? Without reading also we can guess. Can someone tell me how? If you had retained your map, well, what was the second para all about? It was about promoting HE. Very good. Now, if you analyze both of them, you will, now your time is less. Maybe this is the last question. This is the last RC in your exam. What would you do? I mean, you're like, okay, I know this is there. I have done my map and you have, this is the only one which is HE. I don't see any HE here. Inadvertently discovered important parts, some factual record. Looks like record. So anyways, physical evidence. Evidence is there supporting HE. I'm done. I am done. I did nothing. Do you realize we did nothing? Practically, I didn't rack my brain. Yeah, I gave you two options, but because guarantee is B, C, E, everyone will remove. It's a guarantee. Take it from me. So, and you can compare with anything. You can compare with B also. You can compare with C also. You can compare with E also. Whoever is your XY pair, you can find it that way. So I hope in this 1 hour, I mean, I tried to fit in a lot of things. I hope you learned something. So I would definitely, we would go in. So there is, so you can really put in your doubts in the Q&A box if you really want. And I hope there's value that you got from the session and you can make use of it. You've got some, you understood that RC is easy. Is it really difficult? What do you think? RC was difficult or was it easy? So there are tricks and rules that we can use. Okay, so of course, since it's art, so you can definitely requires practice. Difficult, but can be beaten down. Perfect. Mega is 50-50. I would love you to go home and practice a little and you will see that this can work. Let's try. So yes, we've got this. Thank you so much. I will be sharing some links. You can actually directly post them. So we've got this live at home program at Crack Verbal. You can definitely look into it. So I will give you a link and you can book a call with our counselors. Where can I practice for free? GMAT Club, go for free and practice. Okay, so and we've got the application process. So you can definitely, we definitely help with applications, essay edits and everything. All of that will be there. And yes, any questions, any doubts, please free to follow us.